Hello people, welcome back. So my weekly Wednesday live broadcasts, they have taken a bit of a break. I've taken a bit of a break and I hope I'm fit to continue now after a bit of a flu. Nothing to worry about though, just a normal, regular flu. Been tested, all that, been there, done that. Still coughing a bit. I'm hoping it won't disturb us too badly. We'll do our best, and if the worst comes, then you know, if I get this fit of coughing, then we'll have to do this later. But for now, I'll give it my best shot. So before we dive into the rather cryptic topic for today, let me show you something that I'm quite excited about. So many of you have noticed that we are celebrating Ruokangas Guitar's 25th anniversary, an online celebration that takes place on Saturday, November 28th on the Ruokangas Rendezvous Facebook group, where all of you are obviously most welcome to join. So, Juha Ruokangas, a good friend, has designed something cool. You've kind of seen it already, maybe on Facebook, but then again, not quite. Let me show you what it is. Maybe some of you are guessing. Where is it? There. There's a t-shirt. It's a 25th anniversary t-shirt that Juha has designed for us. I think it's pretty pretty cool. Let me show how it looks. Oh, hello sir, where did you come from? Yeah, it's a pretty cool t-shirt, I think. You see it close up. It says there, peace, love, and good music. You know, where you've heard that from, well, many times in this broadcast anyways. But this is not the reason why exactly I wanted to show you. You know, the t-shirt is not available quite yet, but I promised in my previous newsletter a little surprise for this live stream, and so, you know, here comes the surprise. We've also made a special weekly Wednesday live edition of the t-shirt, and the back of the t-shirt looks like this. So there you go. That is actually the live chat happening there. I'm noticing on the chat today, Greg B. Hello, Greg. If I don't remember wrong, your name is there too on that back of the t-shirt with one of your comments from the past shows. Okay, we couldn't fit everybody's comments there, not everybody's names there, but hey, you know, it's a t-shirt, and sorry couldn't fit everyone. You know, there's been hundreds who have been commenting different episodes. But the point is that you guys are making this show worthwhile. So thank you. The t-shirt will be soon available in our merchandise shop. That is in the middle of being completely rebuilt at the moment. A lot of the old stuff from the merch shop will disappear. So if you want something from the old one, buy quick, because in less than a week it will be most likely gone. I'm not kidding. So it's going to be a whole new platform, everything new t-shirts and things, other stuff there. So it's going to change. Okay, enough of merchandise advertising. Okay, let's get to it. So it is a cryptic title for today's talk, right? And you know, being in the middle of the preparations for our online celebration event, as you've noticed from Facebook, you know, I was thinking that how could I share with you guys in a meaningful way some reflections from my past, not like a CV, you know, not not saturated with all the successes, all the victories, but rather focused to the more essential bits. How have I come to this? Why am I the person I am today? Which factors contribute, to the fact that, I feel I have found who I am, finding my voice. And could my story perhaps help you, some of you, one of you at least, on your journey to find yours? Because after all, the fundamentals for us human beings is often the same for every one of us, regardless on which walk of life we're on. It's the same struggles growing up, finding ourselves. So, and after my first wife, all my children, and my second wife had given their blessings for me to do this broadcast, this topic, I made a decision to go for it. And I'm quite nervous. So hold my hand. Hold my hand, okay. Some time ago, I was on a morning walk, and I felt the urge to step aside from the path into the forest. Well, we're living in the middle of forest, so it's not too difficult for us, but So I was walking there. It was winter, there was snow on the ground, and there I was, standing alone, very early in the morning, breathing in the middle of the forest, and this childhood memory came to my mind. So we go back now much more than 25 years, more like almost 40 years back. My family lived up north, and I used to ski a lot during the winter time. Not cross-country skiing, but whatever you call it, downhill skiing, slalom, I don't know what you call it. Skiing, I guess. So anyways, I would often prefer to ski alone. And on frequent basis, I would steer myself off the marked tracks into the forest. Now, that was strictly forbidden because it was quite risky. There was a lot of trees, pits, rocks, whatever. You were risking your life there. It's very steep hills, and yeah. But I do it anyways. And now, 40 years later, when I was standing in the middle of the forest on my morning walk, all of a sudden I realized why I wanted to ski out there in the forest as a kid. Okay, it was exciting, yes, but this was not my primary motive. And it wasn't the forbidden fruit either. I mean, to ski off track because it was not allowed. No, that was not either. My primary motivation to ski in the forest was the fact that there was no tracks, no path, no signs, just the clean snow. And that was fascinating to me, intuitively. I didn't know where I should have gone, and instead I had to literally let my intuition take me to the unknown in the very moment, skiing downhill with the adrenaline, kicking in my veins. So there you had one little vignette from my childhood to set the tone for the broadcast. And now we'll move on to year 1996. My company had existed about half a year. Are there folks out there watching, listening to this broadcast that remember how internet was in those days, in 1996? Netscape, Alta Vista, exciting GIF animations. There wasn't much of anything on internet in those days, but a lot of people, us, the younger generation of that time, we were quite intrigued, fantasizing the possibilities this new network phenomenon could maybe offer. So I made my first website during that time, 1996, with a program called Microsoft front page. And I purchased the domain ruokangas.com, and I put a slogan to the front page that said, Ruokangas, the best guitars in the world. Now, that is a bold statement from someone who has had a company for 6 months, has maybe built 10 guitars, 15 at best in his life. But, I guess that naive approach, it tells a lot about my spirits, my ambition, my passion, my drive. But anyhow, after I got my website ready, I sent out a press release. And in those days, the press release was quite something. It was an actual, now to the young generation of you, press release, what does it mean? It's an actual piece of paper that you stuck into an envelope with printed photographs. Now, digital cameras, they absolutely sucked. So you took photos on film and you had those films developed. You hoped for the best, that you find a good picture, because every time you developed a film, it cost money. And yeah. So I would stick my press release into an envelope with a few photos of my work. And I sent this to every guitar magazine I could find an address for. You couldn't send it basically anywhere else than to print medias, because, internet was so primitive. Hardly anybody had email addresses. The magazines, guitar magazines, were not online yet. So this meant I had to go, to find out even where to send these. I had to go to a bookstore to write down the addresses from the magazines that I couldn't afford to buy. Guitar Player, Guitar World, Gitarre und Bass in Germany, Guitarist magazine in the UK, and so on and so on. There was a lot of magazines in those times. And my press release had a photo of the first Duke prototype I'd made and a text saying something about us. Notice, us. I used the term us, even though it was in reality me, a one-man show. So we, in my press release, we were a custom guitar workshop in Finland. We had our first originally designed guitar, the Duke, launched, and that's about it. Some specs of the guitar I mentioned there, and under all that stuff, there was a post address, a telephone number, and an internet address, ruokangas.com. You know what happened? Well, a lot of these magazines published my newsletter, and many of them with the title, "There is a guitar maker in Finland who has a website." So that was the news for them. I didn't realize it, but that was the news for them. The right time, the right place. Now, good luck trying to do the same press release today and get it published. So what did we learn from this little snippet of my life? Well, the courage to ski in the forest, to make your own paths, be the first. It may lead to unexpected results. Positive sometimes, negative other times, but that's life. So, remember, when you're among the first, doing something that others haven't done, there is no example. You need to do the script, you need to figure it out, often on your own. So that's it. That's that little vignette from 1996, and we are moving on to year 1999. December, Saturday afternoon, alone at the workshop. A month earlier, I had booked my first booth at an international guitar show, Frankfurt Music Messe. And so now I was working hard to get the guitar ready by March. The guitars ready by March, sorry. I had 6 guitars in the works. An overwhelming amount of work and just 3 months to go. And I was there cutting a neck outline with my pin router. A pin router is this big hulk of a machine, this big, I don't know what it might weigh, but it's like a tank, and cuts wood. And, something happened, a blink of an eye, an electric shock feeling in my left hand that I pulled out in disbelief. And my thumb, my left-hand thumb had dropped on the table. And when I stared at that macabre-looking mess where my thumb used to be a second ago, guess what my first thought was? What was my first thought? Well, it was, what about the guitar show? Me staring at that bloody X finger. I don't know what to call it. What about the guitar show? It's kind of pathetic, isn't it? Well, that's me. So ambulance, shot of morphine to my butt cheek, and in that drugged euphoria, my faith to the great future returned momentarily. Okay, then I don't remember much until hours later, staring at the surgeon, this appointment after the surgery is over. So he tells me, "Sir, 3 months absolute rest. But you're lucky it was your lefty." To which I respond, well, in fact, I am left-handed. And I was devastated. After getting out of the hospital, I stopped by at the workshop, looking at the mess I had left there when the ambulance took me in. And then I'm biting my teeth, and I'm there cursing alone there, damn it. I have 2 hands. And I will learn to do the job with my right hand. And so I did. I got the guitars ready. I went to the guitar show. I got my first dealers, international dealers. I sold a guitar to Mick Box of Uriah Heep. Many, many good things happened at that guitar show. And a lesson of this little story, well, perseverance, endurance. If you fall, get up. Move on. Stop whining. The circumstances don't have to stop you. Yeah. So we're moving on. That's it. 2 business partners joined my company, part owners in year 2001. And yeah, each one of us owned a third of the firm. We were good friends, and it all worked out fine for years. And then, well, life happened. My path kind of started leaning towards wanting more and more to stick to the unique custom guitars, whereas my partners wanted to stick with the idea we had joined forces in the first place with, to make things a bit bigger. In other words, small scale serial production, so on. And nothing wrong with that. I had wanted exactly the same, but I felt it just didn't seem to be in the cards for us. I didn't want it anymore. So simple as that. And so we started with my business partners. We started kind of slowly drifting apart until by year 2007 or so, I was so unhappy with how I felt, about the state of the company. Had arrived in this sort of a stalemate situation. I felt I couldn't move left or right. I couldn't move back or forth. And I lost my interest. I told my business partners that they're free to buy me out because I don't want to continue. Or they would need to sell their shares to me. Well, they weren't very interested in buying, as the company was still very much dependent on my input as well. I don't know, the driving force, whatever. And I was more or less broke. I didn't have the money to buy them out. The company was kind of limping on. Making guitars was fun as ever, but the business side of things had become, for me personally, a nightmare. And and I struggled with this impossible scenario for almost a year. And during that year, I would say that on emotional level, my company, my dear company, it on an emotional level, it died for me. I felt totally beaten to the ground, and I couldn't see a way out. Until one beautiful spring day, Tommy, one of my luthiers, and me, we were sitting in a car. We were on our way to play soccer with friends, and I was pouring my heart out to him. I was whining. I can be pretty horrible at that, to my closest people. They know. And so Tommy goes in the middle of my whining about the situation of not getting out of this nightmare, and I just couldn't see a way out. It was just blind. And he goes, "Sell your house." And I quickly came up with a plethora of reasons why it is not possible. My house, it's my family home. An old wreck that I had restored with my own hands. It was all the property I had. And it was my family home. So I had many reasons to just deny the chance, the possibility. So Tommy continues, "Well, there are no pockets in the death wrappings." You know what I mean by death wrappings? Those wrappings they used to wrap the dead with, mummies. No pockets in the wrappings, right? In other words, when you die, you can't take the house with you. You can't take it with you. The walls will remain, but you will die one day. So why hold on to the walls? And that's when I decided I had to sell my family's home, no matter how much it hurt. Not only hurt me, but the rest of the family. And so, end of that story, I sold the house for a good price. I paid off my mortgage that I had left. I bought the company back. We even remained friends with my former business partners. But not a dime was left of the house money anyways. It all went to getting just leveled up. So my family, we moved to a shaggy rental apartment 12 years ago. But, thanks to selling the house, I could regain myself, my energy. I could rip myself out of that unhappy life with my work. And just 3 short years later, boom, we moved to countryside, bought an old stone house, the Harviala Guitar Manor, where we work now, we live now. So another set of walls here to grow attached to. The lesson, the importance of letting go. The future can only happen when you let go of the past. Did you know that, bad people, they do it still today. I mean, bad people, they catch monkeys in jungles with a little cage. They put in a banana into that cage, and there's a small hole on the side. And the monkey fits to put his little hand into the cage and grab the banana. But then, with the banana, the hand won't fit out. And as you know, we're close relatives with monkeys, and our cousins are as stubborn as we are. The monkey does not let go of the banana. It's my banana. And so goes the monkey into a cage for the rest of his life. Well, we're not any different. It's my house. I want it, my precious. I earned it. No. You win some, you lose some. That's life. Not always fair. Not always fair. No guarantees. Nobody has promised. Remember, who has promised? Nobody has promised. Well, we have covered a lot of ground. But now is the time to dig in, one layer deeper. One layer deeper. The stories I've told, they tell about hard work, about success, even if bittersweet at times, but now we'll do a full turnaround and we'll change perspective. It's true that I have worked so hard as a guitar maker and as the skipper of this company. An attitude to life learned from my father. I've been determined, stubborn, but you know what? If these stories would be told, that I've just now, basically every one of them, when I've told you, well, maybe with the exception of my skiing as a child. If these stories would be told from another perspective, like, for example, from my first wife's perspective, or from my son's perspective, my daughter's perspective, those stories might have a bit of a different flavor to them, A father who's never there, a husband who is only interested in his career, work always first priority, A guy who doesn't listen even to the doctor, but instead of resting with a broken hand, pushes twice as hard. So, more or less inevitably, such a marriage came to an end. And when it did, our kids were, my son, my daughter, they were 6 and 9 years old. My son was 9 years old, my daughter was 6 years old at the time. And then something unexpected happened. I got together with Emma, and for whatever reason that to this day remains partly a mystery to me, my brain yanked off course onto a new threading. I didn't see that one coming. It kind of swept my feet from under. And so, slowly, year by year, a process of growing up began. We'll jump forward into year 2011. I'll tell you a little story that will explain you what the heck I'm talking about. One day, my ex-wife called me and told she's very tired, can't handle our son's behavior, who was 15 at the time. So his little sister was 12. The children's mother explained how our son is calling her names, acting disrespectfully, and while she was telling examples of actual clashes, situations at their home, all of a sudden, me there listening to that on the phone, I realized what it was all really about. And I drove to meet them, and so we sit in their living room, my first wife, our son, our daughter, and I guess our son is expecting to be disciplined, and instead I apologized to him. I told him how I had realized that that he is in fact behaving the same way now at the age of 15 that I was behaving towards their mother when the children were small. So I asked forgiveness from my son for giving him such a role model as a father. And we talked about how this vicious circle, originating God knows how many generations back, how this is just silly and unnecessary. It has no relevance in our lives. It doesn't need to go on to the next generation. My son doesn't need to take it into his relationships. And next I apologized my first wife. So now we are at the very basics of life. And I had been probably in a lot of similar situations with my family earlier too, but I just never got it. I never understood what it genuinely means to look in the mirror. I was very good at finding others to blame. I can well imagine how that scene I just told a moment ago to you, how that could have gone time and time again earlier. My ex-wife calls me about her son. I explain to her how our son's in puberty. Maybe you don't quite understand his point of view. In other words, I would have pushed the blame partly on her, the mother, and then I would have disciplined my son. You cannot behave like that to your mother. And then I would waltz home feeling great as an accomplished father. Or I could have blamed other circumstances. How an entrepreneur just has to work long days, has to sacrifice. Or I could blame a difficult childhood. Maybe it's the government's fault, whatever you can find just to not see yourself. To see, to understand, and to surrender to the fact that it was me. It's scary as hell. To understand you've treated others wrong. Now, driving to their place, admitting my own past mistakes. My heart was pounding when I was driving there. I was so scared to confront what I knew I had to do. And after the apologizing, there was a lot of crying for all of us. The mom, the dad, the son, the daughter. But the paradox is this. Once the truth comes out without blame, without bitterness, without anger, now that's what grace is about. That's what grace is about. Forgiveness when the pretense ends and the truth begins. And it's quite amazing. Letting go of fear, surrendering, admitting how broken I was by bringing forth my weakness as a human being, that is when one earns back the respect and authority as a man, as a father. Paradox of life. Yeah. So with the grace, with the love by, from my family, including here, all the family members from first, second marriage, I've been blessed to get to grow up from a frightened, defensive, traumatized little boy to somewhat responsible man. Not a perfect man. Not a perfect man. Well, no, I still stumble. My close ones see it. But the difference is that I'm not afraid. And here we are closing in to why I titled this broadcast The Meaning of Life as I see it. What is it then? What is the meaning of life? What are we here for? Well, I am quoting here Monty Python of all possible scripts, texts. This is from the movie, Monty Python movie, The Meaning of Life, where towards the end of the film, it's difficult to explain, but the host of the middle of the film figure out, you have to see the film to understand. The host of the middle of the film quite blandly states, try and be nice to people, avoid eating fat, read a good book every now and then, get some walking in, and try and live together in peace and harmony with people of all creeds and nations. But and that's it. That's the meaning of life. And Monty Python, The Meaning of Life, it's there. But not much of that wisdom. I'm going to read it to you again. Try and be nice to people. Avoid eating fat. Read a good book every now and then. Get some walking in. Try and live together in people of all creeds and nations. But not much of that is possible for me to execute this wisdom until I have healed enough to like myself, to accept myself as I am, to love myself, or to love that little Juha who still dwells inside me, that traumatized little boy. Only then I am capable of, becoming and being a better person to others and love those around me. There it is, the meaning of life. To strive towards not letting the baggage from our pasts cage us like that little monkey. My banana. So the world can become just a tiny little bit better place. So this episode, it was a bit shorter than they've been, which is maybe a good thing. Maybe they've been a bit long. To not steal all your evening, There you have it, reflections from the past years, from my 25th anniversary doing this. Looked at from another perspective. Not a CV, but yeah. These videos have been typically watched by hundreds of people, sometimes thousands of people, and in rare occasions, tens of thousands of people. And, if there's one person out there that found this monologue of mine helpful, well, that's worth the effort of making this video. Just because I have the audience, so I'm kind of taking advantage of it to say these things. And in the end, I want to thank you, the most important teachers in my life. My parents, my first wife, my second wife. I'm not saying names here, anyone. I'm being equal now. I could say some names, but I'm not saying, because I can't say all the names. My parents, my first wife, my second wife, my son, my firstborn son, my daughter, and my little boy. There are other teachers too. You know who you are. I love you all. I can hear someone asking, what does guitar making have to do with any of this? Well, better guitars than guns. Better guitars than guns. Let's forge guitars, make music, make love rather than war. So, peace, brothers and sisters. Yeah. So take care. Look after your loved ones. Be well. Share this video to someone who might find it beneficial, who might find it helpful. Peace, love, and good music. Till next time. Bye.